Today we're going to take a look at the latest addition to the Phantom fleet. On the right we have a Phantom 4 Pro, and this is a drone that I've flown for many hours. And the piece of black tape that you see in the front is just to cover my registration number and phone number. And on the left is the latest edition, and that is the Phantom 4 Advanced. One of the major differences, if we look at the Phantom 4 Pro on the right, you can see the two little black dots on the landing gear. That is your rear collision avoidance. And if we look at the Phantom 4 Advanced on the left, you see there is no rear collision avoidance. Now if we look on the side, we see on the right hand side the Phantom 4 Pro that has collision avoidance on the side. If we look on the left there, the Phantom 4 Advanced has no collision avoidance on the side. And the piece of black tape there is just to cover up my registration number. And we can see by looking at the bottom of them, both have the sonar and they have the down-firing cameras. The other major difference is the Phantom 4 Advanced on the left will transmit only on the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. And the Phantom 4 Pro on the right will transmit on the 2.4 and the 5.8 gigahertz frequency. So why didn't I buy a Mavic Air? They're actually very compact, easy to transport, and they are a really nice little drone. Well, to tell you the truth, I actually did have one on order when they came out. There was a 2-week shipping time frame before they would send it, and before that I started watching the videos of the people that already had them. Now the Mavic Air uses a hybrid Wi-Fi signal, and one of the things I noticed when I was watching the video is it didn't seem like the range was quite as good as what I was getting from my Phantom 4 Pro. The Phantom 4 Pro uses a light bridge technology, and that is kind of a proprietary type signal communication system. The Phantom 4 Advanced also uses the same thing. One of the other things too is when I'm flying my Phantom 4 Pro, generally at about 50%, I'm done with the flight and thinking about heading back. With the Mavic Air, I noticed by watching the videos there that they were running their batteries a lot lower than I normally would. At the 50% level, I have plenty of time to get back, and if something unusual happens, I still have plenty of battery to deal with any circumstance that comes up. A lot of times in these videos I saw these guys land in their Mavic Air with 20% or less of battery level, and I just do not feel comfortable flying with a battery level that low. Another thing is the controller battery. I've gone out and I've done 11 flights. I'll do a flight in one place, go to the next, do a flight, go to the next place, do a flight. I've done 11 flights in a row and still had plenty of battery power in my controller. With the Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro, I don't think the battery is big enough to where you could do something like that. Another thing is the 1-inch CCD on the camera on the Phantom 4 Pro and the Phantom 4 Advanced. That gets you excellent video quality. Now I've never flown a Mavic Air or Mavic Pro, so I really can't speak as to how they fly in high winds, but I know the Phantom 4 Pro handles higher winds very well. I've always been impressed on the stability of this thing in the higher winds, and the great looking video you still get in the higher winds. And now looking at the big disadvantage is portability. These things are pretty bulky, so if you're going to pack up and run with one, it's going to take a little pre-thought on where you're going to store it, how you're going to carry it. If you're going to take extra batteries with you, they take up space, and the controller on the Phantom 4 Pro and the Phantom 4 Advanced, they're pretty big. And I use an iPad for control screen, so that actually is pretty big too compared to the Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro. But really, the way I fly, I kind of plan ahead for the extra space I'm going to need for transportation. Another nice advantage is the props are interchangeable with the Phantom 4 Advanced and the Phantom 4 Pro. The batteries are interchangeable, so I can use all the batteries I have for my Phantom 4 Pro with my Phantom 4 Advanced. So why did I buy a Phantom 4 Advanced instead of a Phantom 4 Pro, and why did I even buy another one? Well, the way I fly is if I have a day off and it's a nice day, I'll take the drone and throw it in the car, and I'll actually go out and drive a ways away. So now if I'm a ways away from home and start having a problem with the drone there, I can just switch to the second drone and I can enjoy the trip. A good example would have been when I went up to Grand Marais. Before I went, I had upgraded the firmware on it and I didn't do a test flight before I left. That was a big mistake. As I was heading up along Lake Superior there, I found out that there was an issue with the firmware upgrade and I was having problems flying. Now I learned a lesson there that after you do a firmware upgrade, you always want to do a test flight before you go on a trip with one. The thing is though, is if I would have had a second drone with me, I could have flown that and I could have got some much better video. So why did I buy the Phantom 4 Advanced instead of the Phantom 4 Pro? That was mainly price. The real disadvantage is the collision avoidance between the Phantom 4 Pro and the Phantom 4 Advanced. Now the Phantom 4 Advanced that I just bought was a refurbished unit, but it was $700 less than the Phantom 4 Pro. The collision avoidance is really nice to have, but I found out that as I've flown and gained experience, it doesn't matter a whole lot to me whether the collision avoidance is turned on or off. I try not to fly in a situation where I would ever even need it. And so just having collision avoidance in the front there is just fine with me. Having only 2.4 gigahertz for signal transmission really isn't a big deal with me either. I really prefer flying with the 2.4 gigahertz signal. It seems like it's a little bit stronger than the 5.8. I really do appreciate the light bridge technology that both these drones have. Flying in a situation where you have to take off in a less than ideal position, or if you're flying around trees, there's a lot of tall trees, it just keeps your signal nice and strong and makes your flying more enjoyable. And with any drone you're flying, there are limitations, and so you have to respect that and fly accordingly. And so there we have it. Phantom 4 Advanced, new addition to the fleet. It's a beautiful day today, and so I'm going to get online and get this thing registered and then take it out and do a little flight.